What about UFOs, extraterrestrials, things like this, where we go to sites and these ancient craft may have crashed there, right. And because of the different types of radiation measured there and things like that, it didn't destroy the flora and fauna, it didn't modify it.
Right.
And are you aware of any places like that around on planet Earth that you could talk about that's not too classified?
Well, recently they talked about in Brazil, where they have revived or propagated what they consider to be extraterrestrial plants. And we know that pollen type things exist in space, and that they have the ability to transverse space, and of course it's fine in an environment.
Right.
The thing about we think of all this in physical terms. Once you go beyond physical terms, then the potential for travel, the potential for interactions, I call them trans-dimensional interactions, trans-spatial interactions, a lot of language we could use for it. Mm-hmm. But the experiences all tend to have to be related back through our own language or our own myths, our own science, education, our own science. And using our science to try to understand another science just doesn't work.
Does not work.
I admire everybody's efforts, but it really would require an open mind. It would require an imaginative mind, and it would require a mind that is open to the ideal that there is another way of looking at things, that there's another existence beyond the physical reality we're used to. And we have all kinds of references throughout history. You know, why did they build the pyramids, right? What was the purpose?
The biggest question we get asked all the time.
Yeah, and if they were just trying to create a sculpture garden, it's like, well, they did a pretty good job. But if they weren't just creating a sculpture garden, you have to ask yourself that there was some sort of purpose, some sort of intent, and that action was to produce a result. And nobody's ever answered that, right?
Right.
But what if we use that energy? We know it modifies human form. We know it modifies plant form. Mm-hmm. Outside of Moscow, you can find all kinds of fiberglass pyramids on the research they did.
All right.
It's just that we thought that was too woo-woo to do pyramid research. And yet their effects on plants, razor blades, people, is well documented in Russia. They take it for granted. Yeah. So we don't even have to go off planet to find that there's other ways of looking at things. There's other experiences, other ways of talking about it, and especially other ways of observing it. Because we tend to view all UFO and ET interactions, they're all photonic. I have to see a picture, right? Yeah. I'd like to see an energy spectrum. Exactly. I'd like to see all kinds of data that is not exactly photonic in nature.
The picture doesn't do justice.
Right.
As far as the science community.
Right. I mean, particularly now.
Right.
So.
Have you ever seen or heard about witnesses at these areas of maybe crash sites or contaminated areas that they are saying, you know, they've seen extraterrestrials, or they were saying they've seen
yes. The thing about it, in Santa Fe one evening, I met the son of the rancher on whose land the 47 crash occurred.
Right.
And not mention his name. But,
I remember you telling me this,
But after a few drinks, he proceeded to relate what had occurred to him and his family. And it is anecdotal information. You can't verify, right? But given the circumstances and the emotive content, and you know, I read people, I would say he was telling the truth about being a child and people threatening them with guns if they ever talked about this, that, and the other.
Oh, for sure.
So now, did they have a real experience? Well, it was real enough for them to experience all the emotions and all the intellectual outcomes and extensions of that experience. So is that real? Well, it's certainly real enough to be able to create another craft once you've seen it, right? It's real enough for Tesla to, in his dreams, to see a complete AC motor and wake up, draw the diagrams, and go build it, right? So where was his information? We could call it ET information. We could call it other universes. We could call it other dimensions. But we know it's there, right? And people's insistence on disallowing or disavowing that information based on the fact that they didn't see it is just kind of ridiculous. And it just represents a paradigm that doesn't want to let go of the old ways, the old ideas. They're happy with the reality we had.
It's easier to deal with this day-to-day belief system of science.
Right. Yeah, one of the things is resistance to change, right? Even we measure resistance in electrical motors. We should measure it in consciousness, because the distance between being able to acquire new technology or to be able to express it and create it, bring it into form, is much greater the greater your resistance is to the idea.
Right.
So if you look around, 1961, I'm looking up in the skies and I see a UFO. I always think of them as not unidentified flying objects, but unacknowledged. Somebody knows who they are.
Right.
They're just not telling, right? And what was interesting about that is this thing's clearing, 40 degrees of arc in like 5 seconds. Right. And it's like, you can't do that. There was nothing available at that time. Interesting, years later, somebody said, remember, you didn't talk about these things. And somebody said something, and I said, well, I saw a UFO when I was young. And my mother, who was with me at the time, pops out and says, I saw it too. And it shocked me that she would admit to it, because that's the paradigm that those people who were raised prior to, let's say, 1960, that their paradigm doesn't include that, right? And our paradigm, of course, is being conditioned. I call it algorithmic induction programming. And it's done through the books, all the science fiction books. It's done through Star Trek. It's done through Star Wars. And all of that to younger people is that they don't deny the potential for there to be UFOs or aliens or anything else out there.
It's acceptable in a way when it's presented that way.
It's not fearful to them.
Right.
That's the big thing. But it is fearful to our scientists. It is fearful to the old paradigms. We're operating off 130-year-old physics.
Right. Yeah. And also that leads back to like the legendary folklore of stuff that is in ancient scriptures. Do you know anything about this, where even today's urban legends, I think a lot have actually come from like ancient Egypt and before?
If you want to go to urban legends,
to stay away from the river, so you're
and stay away from Dulce, New Mexico, right? You don't want to go there after dark. But there's a lot of other areas too, and they enter into myth, right? And the myth is always based on fear, to not go there, to not be there. And one of the things that happens is, if we have pictures, which we have sculpture and pictures of hybrids, of chimeras, of all these different entities, and we have statues all over the world. And to me, it's wrong to think that they're all symbolic. It's like, why can't you in your consciousness accept that there may have been these type of creatures?
There's a possibility of this happening.
Right. There may have been giants in the earth, right? And if there were, great. And if you want to spend time to explore it, there's a lot of information out there. So we don't have to be locked into the old paradigms. One of the first things is you have to create space. You have to create space in your mind, space in your imagination, to be inclusive of what the future is going to bring.
Randy, while I was working in some of the projects out in the oceans, they were doing a lot of hybridization of all sorts of things. And there was many times things escaped from these lab facilities that were in the water, in the oceans, and never recovered, by the way.
Right.
Are you aware of anything like that, or facilities that have had these hybrids get away or escape?
Yes. One of the things I'd like to introduce is the variety of life as it exists. We think only on surface level and above. We're very knowledgeable about surface level biological life forms and aerial, right? But when it comes to underwater, if you look at the films, the data that's available, like Creatures in the Mariana Trench, you don't have to go off-world to find ET.
That's right.
You can find plenty.